Mr. Steele. Alright, so my name's Errol Jack from London, England, and I'm here with 78 Fight News. And 78, you want to say anything to Mr. Steele?
Yes, how you doing today, Richard? It's an honor to speak to you and a privilege. As a boxing fan, I grew up on you, so this will be a good interview. Go ahead, Earl.
78, go ahead. You asked. You're fine, 78.
Okay, all right. So, Richard, I wanted to know, first of all, before we get into the history and everything like that, can you tell us a little bit about the Richard Steele Foundation?
Oh, the Richard Steele Foundation is a up and growing foundation that we're really doing a whole lot with the youth of Nevada. We have a foundation that we teach boxing, but through boxing we teach motivation. We teach, kids to protect themselves. We have bullying classes, anti-bullying classes, and we have a school here that we have. We tutor kids that need help in school, and we do a whole lot of different things. But boxing is the carrot that brings them in, and once they get involved with the program, we take a look at the report cards, make sure that they are doing good in school and at home and in the community. So we interview the parents, we interview the kids, and we try to make sure that we know what they are really in need of to be a good boxer. Today's boxers are smart young men and young women, and they're very knowledgeable about the sport. And we try to, we have classes on different fight nights that we really teach them and show them what the different pros are doing, and try to get them up to that level.
Wow, that's great. It's been a lot of talk, a lot of criticism of the sport of boxing as of late. From a lot of people are saying that back in the day there were a lot more boxing gyms and places for the kids in the community to go to release some tension and some stress. And as a result of that, now you don't have a lot of gyms closed down. MMA is on the rise and things like that. And in the inner cities, there's not a lot of gyms, and you have kids getting into trouble, doing a lot of stupid things, claiming that they have nothing to do, like playing this knockout game that's swept the country by storm. Yeah. Kids acting a fool. So I want to commend you for the work that you're doing with those kids.
Well, we have over 100 kids here, and I tell you, it's very hard because the kids today, they have so many other things that they can do. When I was coming up, the boxing gym, the basketball courts, and the football fields, that's all, and the baseball diamonds, that's all we had. Okay, so, we didn't have a lot to choose from. But nowadays, the kids have so much to choose from. They can play golf, they can play tennis, they can bowl, they can do so many different things. And as you said, those Nintendo games and those different electronic games that they have, they can sit at home and do nothing but that. But that's right. Why we are really trying to, get them to focus on doing some physical fitness. If they come to my gym, I say I got over 100 kids. Now, actually, the kids that really box, it's about 50-50. It's about 50 kids that just come in, lose weight to get in shape, or just to hang out with the other classmates, and to really just relax and have fun. Every night I have to tell them, hey, it's 7 o'clock, you guys have to go home. They just want to hang out. They just, and that makes me happy because I know that it's a safe haven for a lot of them, and a lot of them don't have anywhere else to go.
Mr. Steele, is there any way fans and people who want to contribute to that organization can donate?
Oh, sure. We have fundraisers all the time because, see, that's what you have to understand, and that's what the public has to understand. Just my gym, as small as it is, it cost me $8,000 a month.
Wow.
I mean, $8,000 a month. Now,
Right.
I mean, and that's a lot of money. You understand?
Right.
So to come up with every month, you know, so we take donations and we take. We try to go out and do things to make money with the kids and, you know, car washes, whatever, you know, bake sales. We do something to try to generate some money. But we are a foundation, you know. We are a foundation, and it's Richard Steele Foundation.org. O-R-G. Okay, .org. And they can go to my website, and we have where you can donate right there on the website.
Okay, sounds good.
RichardSteeleFoundation.org.
Okay, that's great, Mr. Steele. Wow, yeah, you're doing tremendous work as so I've been reading all about your lengthy career as obviously in the Marines. Can you tell us a bit about your Marines and your experience with Ken Norton, and how did you go about getting into the Marines, and how did it help you in your life, you know, leading into the referee and boxing? So many.
I just was talking to a couple school teachers yesterday. They came over to look at my facility. They have some kids that they want to get enrolled and start participating in our program. And, you know, they was looking at all the pictures that I have in the gym of me and all the other celebrities, all the other great fighters and everything. And I was telling them that, I mean, gee, who would even think of that? I mean, no one, when I was growing up, would ever think of that I would reach this plateau in life. But what happened is that I went to the Marine Corps, and I was challenged to box this guy, and I ended up boxing this guy and doing very well, but they put me on the boxing team in the Marine Corps. That's where I met my teammate, Ken Norton. Ken Norton and I, we started the same month, and we went all the way to the Marine Corps on the boxing team. And then once we got out, we ended up, well, I got out about a couple months before he did, and I was referred to one of the best trainers ever in time. That was Eddie Futch. So Mr. Futch asked me one day, he said, hey, do you know this kid named Ken Norton? And I said, yes, I know him. We boxed together for 3 years on the Marine Corps team. And he said, well, his backers had asked me to training. So a couple of days later, Ken Norton comes in the gym, and we were united again. So we boxed under Eddie Futch for quite some time. And, you know, my career was very short. Only had 16 pro fights. I won 12 out of 4. I won 12 and lost 4. I got injured. My ribs broke. So I was asked to become a referee. And I said, oh, gee, I never thought of being a referee, you know. Because I really don't want to do that. You know, I want to box. But the doctor explained to me that I have very weak ribs, and they broke 2 other times. And then I eventually said, okay, let me look into this referee, because I love boxing. I love what it's done for me. And, you know, once I learned how to box, I went back to school. I graduated from high school at adult ed at night. Then I went to junior college for a semester, not for 1 year. And so it made me realize that I could do things with my life. It made me realize that, you know, I needed education. And I went and got it. And that's why I love boxing. And I try to get to give the same things to the young people today, because I know where I'm at today, I wouldn't be there, I wouldn't be here without boxing. So I started refereeing, and I just took, you know, it was very natural for me. And next thing you know, after 3 years of working around California, I was given my first title fight. And from then on, you know, I have done over 172 world title fights all over the world. and I traveled, and my family, my kids, everybody that traveled with me. So boxing has been very, very good to me and my family, and I try to give it back to the young people of today to show them that, hey, if you don't make it in boxing, maybe you can become a referee. Maybe you can become a judge. There's other things that you can do in boxing, but boxing is a very wonderful sport and wonderful people.
Okay, Mr. Steele, what would you say was your favorite fight to be a part of, to referee?
Oh, gee, it's been so many, you know. But the Hagler and Hearns, the Hagler and Sugar Ray Leonard, you know, they was my best.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Why would you say that, man? Can you tell us a bit about what you, because you're in the ring with these two guys, the legends, and
yeah.
What was like, you know? Can you tell us?
Tommy Hearns. See, in those days, you had guys that really knew how to fight. You know, I mean, Tommy Hearns, he was a master. Sugar Ray Leonard was a master. Hagler was a master, and he showed Tommy that. But I mean, these was great fights. Matter of fact, the Marvin Hagler and Tommy Hearns for over 20 years won the best 3 rounds ever in boxing. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, we held that title for a long time until we lost it with the what's the young man? He died on the motorcycle.
Oh, Diego Corrales.
Diego Corrales
and Castillo.
Castillo, right. They beat us out. Because that was a great fight, a great war. The guy gets off the canvas and, you know, and display strength that no one thought he had. So, anyway, they won the fight of the history, of the fight of the century, and they beat us out. But I have been in some great fights with these fighters, and that's what I try to tell these kids. I mean, the reason why Floyd Mayweather is a great fighter and he's surpassed everyone because there's no one that trains harder than he does. I mean, with all of his great attributes, with all his great talent and everything, I have witnessed and seen this guy work harder than anyone that I ever saw work before. This guy really is the true champion. He's really a master. I was fortunate to referee about 4 of his fights, and I tell you, the 2 times that I quit refereeing was after his 2 fights. He just was a technician. You know, he was a technician. You know, the first time was after he beat Corrales. You know, but then I thought I'd come back, and then I came back, and then when he fought Zeb Judah, I just said, man, you know, this guy is a technician. Zeb Judah, the first 2 rounds gave him a little trouble, but he figured him out. That's why he's such a smart young man. He's such a smart fighter. When you go in there, he don't know what you're going to do, but he can figure it out. His strategy is better than any fighter today.
Wow. You also done the Alexis Arguello and the Richard Pryor the Pryor fight. So what would you?
Not Richard Pryor. He's a comedian. Aaron Pryor. Richard Pryor. He was too small. Yes, I did that fight. And matter of fact, I'm looking at it. And I'm looking at the picture of that fight right now, and I never forget that fight because it was something about Aaron Pryor that it was just too much for, you know, one of the greatest. Alexis Arguello was a great fighter, and I don't say that too much or too loosely, but he was a great fighter. But you know what really made him fight great to me is that when he got knocked down the second time, and I was counting, we was looking at each other, and I was counting, and he said, "No, this is not my day." I could see it on his face, and I was hoping that he wouldn't get up.
Oh.
You know, because Aaron Pryor had his number, and he was too strong. You know, but he was a great fighter, and the punches that he was hitting Aaron Pryor with, those are the same punches that I used to count out so many other fighters before. But those punches didn't mean anything to Aaron Pryor. So all it was is that, you know, Alexis Oguera, like a whole lot of other guys do, they go up too much in the weight. And then they fighting those bigger guys, and those punches does not mean as much as it was when they fought a smaller guy. And that's one thing that I hope Floyd Mayweather doesn't do. But, you know, you see what he did with a guy 15 pounds more than he was the last time. You know, he just outboxed him. You can't hit this guy. So if he keep doing that, maybe he can stay at the 55 pounder. But I really hope that he doesn't go any higher.
Okay.
Definitely.
I want to ask you also, Mr. Steele, can you take us back to the infamous Chavez-Taylor fight and what happened in that fight? Because, you know, you took a lot of criticism at that time. Can you go over that fight again and what you saw?
Well, I tell you, there's two great fighters, you know. Chavez, man, he proved to be a great fighter, you know. And Taylor was a great fighter. He was a gold medal winner. He was the best that we had. And this guy could fight. Speed, and he had so much speed, you know. But the difference between him and Chavez was he had the speed, but Chavez had the power. Each and every round, I mean, he was winning. He was beating him, but he was taking punishment each and every round. I mean, this guy, Chavez, was hitting him, breaking him up. I mean, he swallowed 2 pints of blood.
Oh.
They pulled out 2 pints of blood from his stomach the next day. I mean, you know, he was taking a beating, but he was winning the fight. And then, I mean, every time I see the film, every time I see the fight, I really get saddened because the last round, he didn't have to go out there and fight the last round. But his corner told him he needed that round. He didn't need that round. But they told him he needed that round. So he went out like a warrior, and he tried to do everything he could, and he got into a slug fest with Chavez, and Chavez caught him with a devastating right hand and dropped him. And he dropped him, and it was just like a wet towel hitting the canvas. But this young man's heart was so big, he pulled himself up. And if you look at, he pulled himself up, but he was a dead man standing there. I was talking to him. I was looking in his eyes. I was asking him, was he okay? Was he okay? And he could not answer me. He just could not answer me. And I didn't know until I would get the medical report from the hospital a couple of days later. But not only his body had dehydrated, but his brain had dehydrated. That's why he couldn't speak.
Oh.
You know, he took a beating, but, man, it was a shame because he was a great fighter and really a good fighter. And you know, I just hate for him to go out that way. And when I see him now, I really feel bad, you know. I wish he had to show me something earlier. I could have stopped it earlier because he took a beating.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow, it's a hard one. Like, if in retrospect, and obviously you know about the time, like, it didn't matter to you because, as far as you're concerned, you made that call. He was saving his life, and you know we just seen recently with is it Amagnamar 78?
I can't pronounce his name. Yeah, that guy, the
Russian guy. Yeah, like where they let the fight go on, and you know.
Yeah, but see, he's still in the coma.
Yeah,
he's still in the coma. I watched that fight, but let me be honest. Let me be honest, because it was the same way with me. The referee didn't have no signs to stop it.
Mm.
If you look at that fight, the referee didn't have no sign to stop it. Now, here's what you got to do, and here's what I'm talking, and I'm preaching to these seconds and these corner people. They know the fighters better than we do. Mm. They should be protecting these young guys. The corner should have stopped that fight. You remember the first round he went to the corner, and the first thing he asked the guy, is my nose broke? Something was broken in his face, and he knew it. Oh. He knew it. You know, they should have maybe let him go out a couple more rounds, and after they see him taking all these hard shots, they should have stopped the fight. Mm. They should have stopped the fight, you know. Now, I did it, and I didn't care. I don't care about no time, because if a fighter is in that condition in the first round, I'm going to stop it. But this was the last round, so why don't I stop it then? If a fighter gets beat up that bad that he's in that condition, the other guy won. Mm. You know? Yeah. It doesn't call for a guy to lose his life to win. All you got to do is get your opponent in the position where he don't know where he's at, he can't speak, the fight is over with. Mm. Mm. Yeah. And I wish the referee with the Russian fighter, I wish he could have seen something that he could have stopped that fight. But I blame it on the corner also. His people should have known. But see, that's the problem with boxing. They want to win too damn much. Mm. They want to win, and guess what? They haven't took one punch.
Right.
But they want to win. So they keep sending the kid out there, taking those big hearts, and that Cuban fighter, man, he could punch. Mm. Mm. He could punch. They should have stopped that fight. Now this boy is still in the coma weeks after. Mm. He never fight again.
Yeah.
And
because there was too much bravery in the corner. They was too brave, but they never took a punch.
Mm. Yeah, you know, a lot of fans, bloodthirsty fans, I should say, they criticize referees for stopping these fights, and they criticize fighters for quitting in fights where they feel that they're being damaged. But these same bloodthirsty fans don't. I mean, I doubt seriously that anybody has donated to this man who's still in the coma, his family. And if what happened to Gerald McCullum? Do you remember Gerald McCullum?
Right. Oh, wonderful fight, wonderful fight. And now he's in the wheelchair. He's still alive, isn't he?
Yeah, he's still alive. Yeah. Talk.
Yeah, but he's ruined. He's ruined. And like you say, and then they pay for that hour of entertainment, and here's the kid pays for his life. He pays with his life. I mean, there should be so much money going to that guy and going to the Russian kid that's still in the coma, because he has family too. Mm. Right. So we all watched that fight and was entertained with that fight, but that fight, you know, might take his life.
So Richard, let's go back to England. So, and I'm talking about two stoppages. So the first one I want to talk about is the Nigel Benn and Chris Eubank one when you came over to England. And obviously, and you stopped that fight. And then after we talk about that one, we'll talk about the Mike Tyson one and the Razor Ruddock one. But we'll start with the Ben and the Eubank one, which was a great fight for us over here in the UK, and it was an epic war. It was one of the best fights we've ever seen. So what did you see in Ben that you felt like it needed to stop? You stopped at the right time. It was a great stoppage, by the way. But Ben
was a great fighter, but he has lost all his punching power. You know. And Chris Eubank, man, this guy can punch. This guy, you know, you got to understand punchers and boxers. You got to understand the dynamic of these different punchers. These guys like Eubank, man, this guy will knock down a wall. This guy is a real puncher. He's a Mike Tyson type of guy, you know? So you got to know when you give the guy all the chances, you know, that you can, without damaging him permanently. But at the certain time, when you see he can't go no more, when he was against the ropes, when Eubanks had him against the ropes, you know, Nigel, you know, he was through. He couldn't move. He wanted to move off the rope, but he couldn't move because his legs was already shot. He was taking those hard punches, and so that's when I stepped in to save him any more future damage.
Yeah, you did. It was a great stoppage. Another one. So let's go to the Mike Tyson and the Riddick Bowe one.
Yeah, that fight, I tell you, you know,
Riddick.
Man.
I've called it Riddick Bowe. It's Riddick Razor Ruddock. go on. Sorry.
Razor, yeah, no. You got so many people on your mind. But look, I knew you were talking about Razor Ruddock.
Yeah.
But Mike Tyson. But see, Mike Tyson, he's a devastating puncher. Okay? So here he is. Look at that fight. Look at the stoppage. Look at the stoppage. He hits this guy. He got him hurt. The guy was fall up against the ropes. Look at where his hands were. His hands was down to his waist. Mike Tyson was coming in for the kill. So I robbed the fans from seeing the kill. I stopped. I said, no, I'm not going to let him get hit with that punch because the fight is over with. You see? And to prove that I was right, never, I'm telling you, I've been in this game a long time. To prove that I was right, I stopped it, pushed Tyson back, grabbed Razor, and I said, give me your mouthpiece. He gave me his mouth. No fighter that really want to fight would ever give his mouthpiece up. You look at it. Look at that fight, and he gave me his mouthpiece. He was through, and he knew he was through.
Why do you think he protested at the time? You know what? I'm getting a
because of his seconds, his corner, his manager.
Yeah, definitely.
They protest. They just, I knew you was going to stop it. I knew you. And let me tell you what they did. You see, they just wanted. You know, Razor Ruddock was so strong, a big guy. He was a big guy, a strong guy. He could take a lot of punches, a lot of more punches. But I wasn't going to let him do that because what happened? They protest. He gets a second fight. He makes another $4 million.
Yeah.
Because I stopped it.
Yeah.
If I didn't stop it and I let Tyson go on in and land that hard right hand that he was about to throw, he might not ever fought again. You see what I'm saying? But because I stopped it, because I stepped in to stop that hard right hand that Tyson was coming in with, he makes another $4 million.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And to show you that I know I was right, you ain't heard nothing from me since, have you?
Mr. Steele, you know, around that time also, people were making a lot of false accusations towards you and your relationship with Don King. Can you speak on that at all?
Don King, let me tell you something. I never had a drink with, I never had a dinner, breakfast, lunch, or anything with this guy. Don King is a promoter. Don King, the only thing that we got in common, that he's black and I'm black.
Right.
That's the only thing that we ever had in common. You understand? Don King, I don't even know Don King. I don't know nothing about him, but he puts on some great fights. I know he's a good promoter. He was. I mean, it's over with. He's through now. He's through now because I think that he's a little sick, a little ill. But you know, and he doesn't have the heavyweights. He had all the heavyweights at one time. But yeah, he was great for boxing. He really put on some fantastic boxing shows, boxing events. But I have never, spoke over 20 words to Don King in the 50 years that I was in boxing. Yeah. But everybody just always took, Richard Steele, he's a black guy, and Don King is black, and they must go out drinking together. I don't even drink. I don't even drink. But I don't know Don King. I don't know nothing about Don King. Don King ain't never done nothing for me. You know what I mean? And and I thank God today. I thank God today that I never did have to go under a promoter to get fights or call a promoter. I never called a promoter. Never. That's why I see these guys today. They hustle fights and. Oh, man, this is ridiculous. I mean, the Boxing Commission in my day would never allow an official to call a promoter.
Oh.
Right.
So you saying this was more corruption now?
It's not corruption, but, I mean, they trying to keep themselves in the position to be called on these fights. Everybody want to travel. Everybody want to, like the Jose Suleiman and the WBC, the IBF, and all that. That's who they call. I mean, the officials. When I was refereeing, you couldn't call those sanctioned bodies.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they called.
You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But they call the same. They say, I want to join your sanctioned body. I want to be a WBA. Or I want to be a WBC. Well, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that per se. But you are selling yourself to that organization.
Right.
And we know that these organizations, they have fighters.
Yep. Yeah.
So if you work for this organization and you know that this is their boy, come on. See, I'm so happy with my career. I've never been in that position. Even when I traveled to Japan, Korea, all over the world, I don't care. I don't care if he's fighting in his hometown. He's gonna get a fair shake with me, but the other guy's gonna get a fair shake too. Because I got to go home. I don't live in Japan. I don't live in Caracas. I live in Las Vegas. And I'm going to have to go back home. And these people here in Vegas or United States, they going to have to look at me and say, man, this guy, he's a fair guy, and he does a good job. That's all I want.
Can you tell us a bit about, a bit about the South Africa, your stance on South Africa? I don't think some people know about your stance on South Africa. How you didn't decide to at the time when they had the party and you decided not to go over there and referee, and you got awarded by Nelson Mandela. Can you go into that a bit?
Well, what happened? I have been all over the world, but I've never been to Africa. And then I get a phone call to do Kosia. Remember the heavyweight fighter Kosia?
Right.
Okay, so I get a call to come over there to do his fight. It's going to be a big fight, big heavyweight fight, and so I said, okay, well let me check everything out, and you call me back in a couple of days. So I get off the phone and I spoke to a couple of people that I have a lot of respect for, and they said, do you know that Nelson Mandela is in prison because of apartheid? And I said, yeah, I know that, but I never thought about it. Well, do you know that he could be released anytime he would give up his people and join in with apartheid? He could be released, but he won't say the things that they want him to say, and he will just stay in prison. And I said, oh, man, that is something. This guy is giving his life up, and he's a smart guy. He used to be a boxer too, you know. He was an amateur. He was an amateur boxer. And I said, oh man, I got to stand with this guy. So when they called back, I told him, I said, no, I'm going to have to take my name off of the list because I'm not coming to South Africa because of Nelson Mandela is still in prison because of the way they treat blacks. So they hang up. So a year later, I get another call, my second chance to go to South Africa, and they asked me to come, and I told them, nope, Nelson is still in prison. And 10 years now, I mean, I did this, I forgot all about it. 10 years later, when Nelson Mandela is released, and you got to understand the whole thing, the same people that put him in prison are the same people that released him and made him president of that country. And man, that is really something when you really look at it. So when he's released, they called me and asked me to come to South Africa and said, Mr. Mandela is requesting you to come because you had denied to work in South Africa because he was in prison. Now he's asking you to come and referee the fight. And I said, I was so happy. I was so, man. We went and I took my wife and we stayed 9 days in South Africa. We ate with him. I mean, he's such a wonderful person. You know, he's such a wonderful person. And has so much knowledge. And he's such a smart guy, you know. He knew more about me than I knew about him. I mean, you know, and he would tell me about all the great fights that I did while he was in prison. And he wasn't able to attend or wasn't able to even watch them. But he knew about them. He read about them. And, you know, we talk boxing, you know, and he's such a wonderful guy. I mean, it really, you know, it brought tears to my eyes, you know, to be with him. He's a great man. He's a great human being. And, you know, I hope that he gets well. I know he's really weak now, but I hope that, you know, they take care of him.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely, man. Oh, and thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah. That's a beautiful story. I also want to ask Mr. Steele, what do you think now in this state of boxing, what can be done to correct some of these ridiculous judging that's going on in boxing? Like what do you think can be done? Should there be stiffer some type of penalties for these judges, or some type of yearly review of their work, or you know?
Yeah. You know? Well, the later suggestion is the best. You got to review this. You know, we used to have a guy here after every fight. We went over the fight, and you had to stand up in front of everybody, your peers, and explain why you did what you did, or why did you call it, or why did you score it. You had to, and I think that made better judges, better referees out of everybody, because you know, whatever you do, you have to stand in front of them after the fight is over with, and you know, tell the whole public why you did it, why you call it the way you did. You got to be accountable for your actions, and they don't do that no more. You know, they don't do that. The commission just said, "Oh yeah, that's the way he's seen it." Man, that's bull. That ain't the way. That's the way he's seen it. But the whole world seen it different. So something is wrong.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to be accountable for your actions, and the boxing commissioners, they are the ones that can make these judges and these referees accountable for the action by doing many seminars after each fight.
Right.
If you know that you're going to have to stand up in front of all your peers and all the commissioners after the fight to explain why you did a certain thing, I bet you that would stop a lot of it.
Oh yeah. That's a good point. My last question for you, Mr. Steele, and then Earl can ask. But what do you feel today? Because I strongly believe that there are far too many belts in boxing today. It seems like every week the WBC or the WBA, WBO, IBF, and then you got the IBO, and it's so many, and it's so many different champions. It's hard to even tell someone who the champion is in any division because there's like 5 or 4 of them. And then they have the super champions and the diamond belt and the interim champion. And so how do you feel about?
Okay. Let me tell you why. A lot of people don't realize it, but the reason why is TV.
Right.
Do you know a promoter? I go to CBS or ABC and I say, look, I would like to get a boxing date. The first thing out of their mouth, what title you going to fight for? They want a title fight because they want to be able to put on their screen World Championship fight coming up.
Right.
You see? And so everybody want a title fight. You go to these hotels, they want to be able to put on in front of the hotel World Championship fight. Everybody, you see, they messed it up. Everybody want to see a title fight. And there ain't that many damn good champions out there.
Yeah.
So I mean, why I want to see a 50-year-old man fight a 20-year-old boy? I mean, come on, man. I don't even want to see that mess.
Bernard Hopkins, you're talking about Bernard Hopkins, right?
I ain't gonna look at certain fights. The guy called me up this morning. He says to me, did you see the fight last night? I said, heck no. I'm not gonna stay up to watch no fight with the guy. What's the guy that fought last night?
Shane Mosley. Shane Mosley versus Andy Mundine or Anton Tarbar. Which one?
Yeah, Tarver. You think I'm gonna stay up to watch him? Man, come on. I'm gonna, but because, I don't know. It's the TV's fault that we don't get the quality of fights that we should get. It's the TV's fault that we got so many damn bouts.
Oh, see.
But at the same time now, I mean, they can take some of those away, okay? But it's so, and it should be at least 4. And the rest of them, they got to take them away. Because, there's Major League Baseball, there's American League, there's National League. I mean, everybody got, 3 or 4 different leagues. Football, baseball, basketball. Why do you think there's so many teams? Every city got a team. Because there's money to be made. But I think that when you dilute it and you get so many championship belts, you're diluting boxing, and you're making everybody capable of having a damn belt.
Right.
Yeah, definitely, man. What would you say your take? Would you say your take on the heavyweight division and the amateurs? Would you say, why isn't America producing great heavyweight champions no more?
Because, as I said before, they got so many other things they can do.
Oh yeah. That's the
boxing is hard. Boxing, there's nothing easy about boxing. Boxing is hard. You got to give your sweat, blood, and tears for boxing. And so the guy said, hey, man, I can run this ball, I can play football, and then I can go and sit down on the bench. And then I go out there again and I make a touchdown, I run a long distance, and then I could just wave my hand to the coach, and he brings me out and sit me on a bench. You can't wave your damn hand in boxing. Unless you're quitting, you know. Unless you're quitting. You see, boxing is the real sport, man. You know, and they said, man, I can do something else. You know, I can go and hit this golf ball for 18 holes and make me $10 million, you know. I mean, you know, instead of getting beat up, you know. And I went to a convention. Last month, and it was half football and half boxing. They went and showed at the Ruddock Center, at the brain institution that we have here. They have more concussions in football than we ever have in boxing. But a lot of people think boxing is the worst sport there is. That football is way tougher and worse than boxing ever been, because they did a seminar about concussion. And they said they get, nowadays, I was watching a football game last night. The guy, bam, helmet, hit helmet, and again, he falls out, he's knocked out, he's got a concussion. They explain to him, every time you get knocked out, you got a concussion. So they take him, and what they do, they take him out for 2 plays. Then they put him right back in there. Oh. What in the world is that? They put him right back in there. The guy just had a concussion. Wow. They put him right back in there. And that's why so many of them are getting hurt. And so many of them, I'm sorry to say, that are dying in football because they don't care about concussion. They care, but they don't show that they care. And that's why we having seminars about fighters. And that's why in my gym, these kids, they only box once a week. You know, long time ago you boxed every day. But don't you understand? But these doctors have made me understand and realize every time these kids get hit real hard, that's a concussion.
Wow.
And it takes time for a concussion to heal.
Oh.
And if you don't give it time to heal, you're just going to get multiple concussions, and, you know, something's going to happen to you. Okay. I had a guy who came to me from the Cincinnati Bengals. He was one of the meanest guys I ever saw in my life. He had 6 fights. He had 6 knockouts. He was down in Mississippi and Tennessee, down south, and they didn't do a lot of medical, examinations, you know. So he comes to me in Las Vegas, and we take him to the medical. He couldn't pass. He could not pass the medical because the MRI showed that he had too many concussions playing football. And here's a guy 6-0. You think Mike Tyson was mean? This guy was so mean, man. He scared me.
So he has to take. He can't fight permanently, or you gotta leave it time.
No. He can't fight. They were not passing. He could never get his license here. So now the flag went up and went to one thing that they did good was the ABC, the American Boxing Association or Boxing Council. So when one report comes and says a kid is hurt, it goes all over the United States. So you can't get licensed in one spot, you ain't gonna be able to get it in another spot. And a long time ago, you know, you can't get licensed in Las Vegas, so you go to Tennessee and get licensed and fight down there. You can't do that anymore.
Okay, that's good. That's good for him. But Texas, it seems like Texas, they let a lot of fighters go though, innit?
Do what?
In Texas, is it?
Oh yeah.
In Texas, they let things go down. Texas, they're still There's still a
yeah. They got a lot of fight. They just let them fight in Texas.
Yeah. You know what I'd say about you as a referee, because I didn't know about, like, you're giving me a great insight into what goes through a referee's mind in the fight game. Because I'm thinking about with the Riddick bow. If you look at in his next fight with Mike Tyson, he took a look of beating, but he was never the same again. He was never the same again after that, because when I see him lose against Tommy Gardner, whatever his name is, Tommy Morrison, and get knocked out, I was like, man, and I see him lose against Lennox Lewis, when I thought he would win that fight. It was the beating. It's the accumulation of beating he took from Mike Tyson. That's what you were trying to say. That's what you were trying to say. It's the accumulation of beatings they took. If you look at Meldrick Taylor in the rematch against Chavez, it was like, okay, yeah, maybe he should win this fight, but it was the accumulation of beating he took in that thing.
He was through.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. Like you're seeing in that. But you know, another thing I say, what I can say about you is that what I remember is that when you these days the referees don't let the boxers fight inside, which I say when you fight, your hands are free. Let them fight like less.
That's right.
Yeah, go on. Can you explain that? Because I think that because obviously with your box knowledge and you understand about the fans, what the fans come to see, you let them fight. You let them fight inside. But these days they don't really do that.
No, but and then you're penalizing a guy that is a good infighter. You're penalizing this guy. Every time you break him, you're penalizing this guy. This guy want to get inside. He want to work the body. You got to let him work. You got to let him work. And then if the guy ties him up too much, you got to tell him, hey, you are holding. It's a penalty to hold over excessively holding. It's a penalty. You can't do that. You got to fight. So you got to let the guy that want to get inside fight, and you got to make the guy, it's a thin line because, excess of holding is a penalty. But then the guy gets inside and hurts the guy, and you want to grab and hold. Break him, you got to be quick. You got to break him quick, because as long as you let him hold, you're letting this guy recover, and that's wrong. That's wrong.
So with the Klitschko now, I don't know if you saw the Klitschko fight against what's his name again? Is that Povetkin? Yeah, I think it was Povetkin. Yeah. And you see that fight, and he was leaning all over his back. What's your take on that?
Yeah, see, that's ridiculous. Who want to pay to see that?
Right.
I mean, you got to do. But see, he don't want to do no more, because you guys pay him all that money, and he stays right in his hometown, and he holds. He 1-2 hit and hold one, and y'all pay him for that, so he don't have to do no more. So I mean that's a shame. Yeah. But that's what the heavyweights are doing. I mean, he makes all that money. He's a champion of the world, but they should make him fight more. Yeah. They should make him fight. He shouldn't be able to hold like that.
Yeah.